Well, what a great day it is, and what a great week it is as Team LOA embarks on what no doubt will be an awesome virtual symposium this week. And listen, who would have thought that we would end our third decade, i.e., our 39th year, as a MOA LOA in an annual virtual symposium scenario? I mean, think about that for a moment. And think about just how far we've come. Technology in general, of course, F-15A and B models, and now we have the F-15EX, which, as many may know, just arrived at Eglin Air Force Base a few days ago. New stealth bombers, the list goes on and on. And then there's Lieutenant General Zettler and Colonel Haas. Among other things, and I say this with the utmost respect, they likely had more hair, better eyesight, and more astute hearing. And we all know if those two esteemed leaders had a cell phone back then, it would have been the size of one, if not two, shoeboxes taped together, and you know it. So yes, we've come a long way since the MOA LOA days of the early 80s. And we're still standing, stronger, better, and certainly more resilient. Good morning, Log Nation. I'm Scott Fike, your Logistics Officer Association president, and I'm honored to be a part of this team of Log Nationers, a team of professionals like no other. I remain humbled, blessed, and extremely fortunate to work with an amazing executive board who, without question, in their spare time, devote countless hours every week to enhance our logistics community. So it's with great pleasure that at this time, I'd like to recognize and introduce your Logistics Officer Association Executive Board. Jay, Holly, Ryan, words simply aren't enough to express not only my personal thanks and gratitude, but that of our entire Log Nation. I mean, what a team. Our LOA is not only in great hands, but our Air Force is as well. Congrats to Ryan, for instance, on his recent assignment to HAF, Headquarters Air Force, upon completion of his LCBP tour out at Hill Air Force Base. And Holly, on her current assignment as a legislative fellow. And of course, a huge shout out of congrats to one of our newest senior leader, Colonel Select Jason Kalen. I'd also like to recognize our board of advisors, Generals Judy Fetter and Art Cameron, Ms. Carol Howitz, Ms. Patricia Knighton, and Mr. Kevin Samples for their steadfast support and what I just kind of refer to as an extra set of eyes and ears while they're out and about in their respective spheres of influence. So a huge thanks to Team BOA as well. And of course, where would our LOA be without Mr. LOA, AKA our Chief Operating Officer? You all know him as simply JD. JD Duvall is behind, in front, alongside every single step of the way. And for that, I and our entire Log Nation remains extremely grateful. Thanks to JD Duvall. So, to say the past year has been anything but normal would be an understatement, of course, but your LOA organization powered through it, as we always do. Virus protocols, national lockdowns, world events did not stop us from reaching across the globe to provide superior logistics and acquisition support. And you, every single one of you, made a difference. So here we are. Wherever you may virtually be, here we are at the 2021 LOA Logistics Virtual Symposium. We were determined to not let a global pandemic get in the way of providing the professional and educational experiences you will encounter during the next few days. Having said that, there have been many of our friends, family, colleagues, and those we don't even know at all who either directly or indirectly experienced extremely trying times as related to the pandemic. As we virtually learn and as we virtually fellowship at this year's symposium, I'd ask that, just try to carve out a moment or two along the way to remember and to reflect on the trying times that many across the globe or within our own living rooms may have experienced during this past year. As we do that during our symposium, let me just say that our symposium team, led by Ken Benton, Dara Hobbs, and Jenna Fletcher, worked tirelessly for months to bring you an amazing agenda packed with some phenomenal speakers, topics, and virtual fellowship opportunities. A huge, huge thanks to Team Symposium 2021. So Ken, Dara, and Jenna, you can certainly be proud of pulling off our association's virtual symposium this year, and certainly the first virtual symposium of this magnitude and scope. And of course, we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude. Goes without saying, to the Event Power team. So to Team EP, thank you so very, very much. So yesterday officially kicked off our week with Loyola University with dozens of sessions targeting process improvement and strengths identification, operations, personal and professional development. A huge thanks to Jerry Ottinger, our Chief Learning Officer, and Mark Bleha, our Dean of Loyola University, for leading a team of true professionals for a day chock full of courses and speakers. Many of you may recall our inaugural virtual Loyola U held last October. For both that event and yesterday's as well, we certainly owe Jerry and Mark a huge debt of thanks. Well done to Team Loyola U. Now, with respect to this year's focus, this year's symposium theme is Under Attack, Agile Logistics for the Future Fight. Interestingly enough, we developed that theme of agile logistics last year well before the pandemic swept across the nation. And this past year, we no doubt faced a world where logistics became inhibited and, in a sense, under attack. And we had to remain agile for the sake of preserving national security and helping the nation adapt to one of its most trying times. The pandemic over the last year has shown how critical our partnerships are. Our partnerships both with and within organizations such as the Air Force Sustainment Center, Air Force Lifecycle Management Center, DLA, the Joint Staff, Combatant Commands, and many, many more. And of course, our industry and academia partners as well. These partnerships required innovative thinking to enable our logistics and acquisition machines to be ready at a moment's notice. And to borrow from our Airman's Creed, we will not fail. And we didn't. You didn't. As I wrap up the LOA 2021 Symposium kickoff remarks and to help prime the pump for this week, if you will, I'd like to quickly share some thoughts on our local chapters, introduce our newest executive board members, and lastly, share our state of LOA. We all know we have a long tradition of supporting and partnering with the local chapters via our amazing ambassadors network. Your local chapters and ambassadors continue to put together wonderful opportunities for continuous professional development, community involvement, scholarships, tours, and a whole lot more. And we're indebted to those serving at the local chapter level. Because quite frankly, It's all 80 plus of our grassroots chapters that well, they enable our LOA to be our LOA. And we encourage all of our senior leaders to remain involved at the local level. Attend some chapter meetings. Pass on lessons you've learned from the School of Hard Knocks. So with that, I do sincerely thank all of our senior leaders who serve as our local chapter advisors and in other capacities as well. Now, many of you all may have recently seen via a variety of social media platforms that we recently announced the results of our elections for the outgoing vice president and chief information officer positions. So at this time, I'd like to please welcome and congratulate our newly elected vice president, Ms. Jennifer Fletcher, and our newly elected chief information officer, Alex Pagano. As we congratulate and welcome Jennifer and Alex to our executive board staff, I certainly want to extend my sincere thanks again to Jay Kalin and Ryan Van Artsdalen for their dedicated and phenomenal support. Thanks, Jay and Ryan, and welcome again, and congrats to Jennifer and Alex. Lastly, as we continue to embark on this week's activities, we can do so in knowing that the state of LOA is good across the entire spectrum as depicted on the current slide. We are and we remain a professional development Log Nation force to be reckoned with, 1 year shy of 40 years, and Log Nation is still rocking it. And of course, a huge supporting enabler for our phenomenal staying power over these past almost 40 years is in large part the support from our industry partners. So a huge thanks to all of our industry partners and friends, and a special thanks to our platinum sponsors, Boeing and Northrop Grumman, our diamond sponsor, Lockheed Martin, and of course our patron sponsors, Pratt & Whitney, Standard Aero, and Frontier Technology. Thanks again so very much. So be sure to visit the virtual exhibit hall this week and get to know our industry and academia partners a little better. Learn about their roles, learn about them. They are, after all, really good people. So we have an amazing week ahead with live and pre-recorded messages that get to the heart of logistics, sustainment, innovation, acquisition. The list goes on. We encourage you to ask questions throughout the week. In some cases, there'll be live Q&A, so by all means, please tee up your questions and take full advantage of what your 2021 LOA Symposium has to offer. So here we go. Sit back, relax in your favorite recliner, virtually tap a shoulder, and invite a friend or a colleague to join in. And oh, by the way, if they're not currently a LOA member, if they're not already a LOA member, I'll say that twice, ask them to join LOA. And then finally, enjoy your chilled Diet Coke and enjoy your virtual week. Thank you all so very much. Take care.